stop pinning the messages. We will take the doubts towards the end. Okay? Yeah. So actually, in the last session, yesterday we just started a simple overview of what we are going to actually learn in this session. So today we will start detailing step by step every concept. So first, in order to understand what is Angular, why we need Angular, we need some important basic topics to discuss. Those we will see step by step. First thing, we need to understand. I already told you that by learning Angular we are going to build the front-end UI for various types of applications. So the point here is, technically, first you need to understand what are the basic requirements for building an end-to-end application, end-to-end web application. I hope many of you are aware of these concepts. That means the first question is what are the basic requirements for building an end-to-end application? You are learning Angular. In order to understand what is Angular and how it is different from others, first you need to understand these questions and answers. Then you will able to have a clarity on what is actually Angular and why we need them. Right? The first question for any person who is related to software development and especially web development, the first question asked is, what are the basic requirements for building an end-to-end web application? That means I want to build a professional end-to-end web application. So then what are the basic requirements generally? Actually, in order to build a complete end-to-end web application, first you need to understand how a web application actually works. I will give you an overview. How actually a web application works, we need to understand about that. I will give a simple overview so that you will get a clarity first. Actually, if you came from the background of Java, .NET, PHP, or you learned HTML, UI technologies, you might have heard about web architecture, means how the applications are built for web. The basic architecture of web. If not, no problem, you can still understand this. See, actually, I am explaining a basic overview of web architecture, web application architecture, web application architecture. Right. As of now, I am giving you a high-level design of web application. Later, once you start learning the web technologies, you will learn more detailed architecture. Generally, how web application actually works. So how internet-based applications actually work. Actually, generally we have a client. So we have client, you can say user. And usually we usually have a web server. web server, and we will have a middleware. I will explain what they are, so no need to worry about that. So we will have a middleware, and we usually have an application server. We usually have an application server, and we also have a database server. An application server and a database server. We have database server. Actually, if you can understand this complete scenario, then you will understand where you are going to use Angular and what is the role of Angular and all this, right? So for a application, we need to maintain some data. Actually, data is maintained in a separate database server. Database server, this is the location where data is maintained. Usually, so here we maintain the database. The data that is required for application is maintained here. Usually, the data that we maintain, generally we do that by using softwares like Oracle, so like MySQL, like MongoDB, like SQL Server, etc. So many are there. So that means the data is maintained in database server. And by using various database softwares like Oracle, MySQL, right? And MongoDB like tools, right? We use all these, right? So I misspelled that. Okay, fine. So Oracle, all this, right? Now the point here is the responsibility of maintaining data, backup of data, and all this happens on database server. Now we have an application server. The application is maintained on application server. Usually, application server comprises of a UI layer. That means it contains application which is maintained in layers. We have a business layer, and we usually have file system. Right? So generally our application is maintained in application server. So usually application is in several layers. We will have a UI layer, we will have a business layer, we will have a file system, the repository required for that application. Our application is present on application layer, our application server. Our database is present in database server. Usually application is maintained in several layers. What are these layers? How here comes the logic that is required for interacting with the database. That means with the help of UI layer, through business layer, we can communicate with the database. We can get the data from the database. We can access the files from the file system. We can send a response back to the UI. Right? This is all happens in application server. your request will be processed and it is generating the output response whatever required for your request. Usually the application server is designed by using technologies like we use JSP, like PHP, like ASP, like Node.js, like Python. All these are used on the application tier. So application is present on application server, database is present on database server, and we generally have a middleware. Actually, middleware is a software framework. Technically, middleware is a software framework which is used in network-based applications to handle communication between tiers. In a multi-tier architecture, to handle the communication, we need a framework. That is what actually middleware. Middleware does lot of things like translating the request into understandable format of server, like translating the response into the understandable format of client, managing cross-origin resource sharings, like CORS we generally call. Lot of activities are maintained by middleware. In web technologies, mostly network-based applications, middleware plays the key role in handling the communication between multi-tiers, from one tier to another tier communication. And there are so many middleware softwares. So middleware is a software. It's a software framework. And so many middleware software frameworks are there. Like we have Express as a middleware. We have JSX as middleware. So we have Oracle middlewares, we have Cisco middlewares, we have Microsoft middlewares. Different technologies have their own middlewares also. So obviously in your Java, in your .NET, in your PHP, Python, you need these middleware frameworks in order to handle the conflict communication. Especially you need them, right? And we have web server. Actually, this web server is also called HTTP server. So web server is responsible for handling the request from the client, processing the request. Actually, web server comprises of handlers like HTTP handler, so which is responsible for handling the requests. Usually web servers are maintained, web servers. I think in Java you are using like Tomcat, like you can use IIS, like JBoss. So many web server softwares are there. And what is the role of web server software? Usually, what is the role and responsibility of the web server software? Right, XAMPP. Okay, so these are all right. Now, important is, so this web server is responsible for handling the interaction between the client and the middleware, right? That means whenever the client request comes, that means it is responsible for handling the request from client, like get, like post, like put, like delete, like options. All such activities are managed and maintained by using this web server. Means requests are handled by using this web server. Technically, so from the client the request comes in. From the client the request comes into web server. Web server will handle and process the request through middleware, and the middleware is responsible for handling the communication, and whatever the response is generated by server, it gets back the response and returns to the client. That is how the request and response is handled. That means client is sending a request, so client is sending a request, and this is sending a response, request and response. That means how the request and the response are handled. it is sending a request and it is getting the response from the request. Remember, I am just giving you a simple basic overview of this architecture. This is request and this is response. So in depth you will learn when you start working with the technology, right? But actually this is the basic infrastructure. That means in the client side, for presenting the output and handling the request, generally client side for presenting the output and handling the request, we use HTML for presentation. We need CSS, so we need any client side script, so client side scripts, right? We need all these for handling the user interface, HTML, CSS, all the things that you know client side. That means these are all the basic requirements for building an end-to-end application. These are all the basic requirements for building an end-to-end application. Now in this entire architecture, where your Angular stands, that is the point. In this entire architecture, your Angular stands. So your Angular stands here. That means client side. Your Angular stands here. That is the reason if anyone asks like, so can I build a complete end-to-end application by using Angular? You cannot build. Because in order to build an end-to-end application according to the infrastructure of web application, you know that you need web servers, we need middleware, we need application softwares, so server-side softwares, frameworks, you need databases, so many are required. That means it's not that you just learn Angular and you can build a complete end-to-end application, right? Angular is for only the front end, so it provides you so many facilities through which you can communicate with the server, gets the data and present, but it is completely client side. That is the reason if anyone asks like, can I build an end-to-end application with Angular? No, it's not possible, because for that you need so many things. What are the basic requirements to build for building an end-to-end web application? Then immediately these options will come. We need HTML, we need CSS, we need client-side script, we need client-side script, we need a server-side script, we need a server-side script, so we need database, we need middleware, we need content management systems. That means you can simply say that IDEs, and you even need publishing tools. That means developing an application of web is not just one technology or one language can do everything. You need a combination of so many things. I hope you already belong to different technologies, or if you have learned HTML, minimum you have knowledge of HTML, then you have an idea of all these, right? Idea of all these means you heard about them. I am not saying that you know this. You heard about them, you know the importance of them. Generally, if anyone asks like, what is purpose of HTML? Then what you will say? What is your answer? What is purpose of HTML? What will be your answer? Tell me. What is the purpose of HTML? Anyone else? Just ping a message, right? So, yeah, actually, that's good, okay, good, right? Actually, let be more detailed and simple. Actually, HTML is a presentation language. Right? It is a presentation language. That means it is used for preparing the presentation for browser. HTML is not a programming language. HTML is a presentation language. That means HTML is used for presentation. You can simply say that HTML is used for presentation. That means the presentation in a web browser is designed by using HTML. We present everything by using HTML. So HTML is actually presentation language. So it is a presentation language. That means it presents information. And you know what CSS will do? CSS will make the presentation more interactive, attractive, right? So HTML presents and CSS makes it more interactive, attractive. What is the purpose of client-side script? Client-side script is used to reduce the burden on server by handling client-side interactions and client-side validations. What is the role of server-side script? Server-side script is responsible for managing the request from the client, processing the request of client, and sending a response. Client-side scripts, you have JavaScript, you have TypeScript, so you also have ECMS script. And remember, ECMS script I am talking about old, because now JavaScript is called ECMS script actually, right? We have ECMS script. Now don't compare them, because now JavaScript is known as ECMS script actually, right? Earlier, before JavaScript, we have ECMS script. Now we don't directly do this. We simply say that JavaScript, we have TypeScript, and JavaScript means we are talking about ECMS script, right? Server-side script means we have JSP, we have PHP, we have Node.js. So Node.js, like ASP, all this comes under server-side. And database, already I showed you. We have Oracle, so we have Oracle, MySQL, MongoDB, all these comes under so database. Middlewares, software frameworks. So like I told you, Express like JSX, all this comes under the category of middlewares. Publishing tools. We need publishing tools like Photoshop, like Flash, all this comes under publishing. Because when you are developing a website, you want an advertisement, banner, logos, all these are done by using publishing tools like Photoshop. Flash is used for creating animations for web, right? That means so many are required. We need IDs like, so we have Eclipse that you use, and we have WebStorm, we have Visual Studio Code, you have Sublime, so many are there. We have Edit Plus, so all this comes under the category of IDEs. Generally, what is the IDE? Integrated Development Environment. IDE provides a platform from where you can build, debug, test, and deploy your applications. A complete end-to-end solution from building to deploying. Everything is provided by these IDEs, right? Usually we use IDEs. So the point is, web development requires so many things. Building a perfect application for web requires so many things. In order to build an application for web, you need so many things. HTML, CSS, client-side, server-side, database, middleware, and all this. So the first point, I hope everyone is clear, that where Angular stands here, your Angular stands actually in the client side. So important point is, can I build an end-to-end application with Angular alone? No, you can't do that. For that you need so many things to be used, right? So we need presentation, interactive, client-side, server-side, database, and all. So this point is very much common, and everyone knows about this, that in order to build an application, he needs so many things. So web application means mandatory, need all this. The point is, applications for web from several years, because Tim Berners-Lee, he introduced introduced the concept of web. Tim Berners-Lee introduced the concept of web. That means before web we were using internet. Now we are not directly using internet, we are using web. So however, web is a portion of internet. I hope many of you know that. Web and internet are not same in a definition. Web is a portion of internet. And the concept of web introduced by Tim Berners-Lee, who developed a language called HTML, right? You know that, many of you know this. The point is, web was introduced and it is there from early 1990. That means from 1990 we have web. We are developing applications for web from more than 20-30 years, you can say that. From more than 20 years we are developing applications for web. Then the question is, why suddenly you need React.js? Why you suddenly need Angular? Why you suddenly need Vue.js? Why you need these new technologies now? Already you are developing applications for web from several years. Suddenly why you need these new technologies? That means these new technologies are there past from 4, 5, 6 years, right? The point is, suddenly why you need them? Suddenly why you need them? Already web is there from 1990s. We are developing applications for web from early 1990s. Then suddenly why we need all these new technologies that currently market is asking for? So to understand that, you need to understand what are the challenges. What are the challenges in modern web development? What are the challenges in modern web development? We need to understand what are the challenges in modern web development. That means we are web developers and we are into web development from past 10 years, 15 years we are developing applications for web. Several senior people are involved in building application for web. Now he is a 8-10 years developer, Java developer or .NET developer or PHP developer. Now he is coming again to an institute and he again joining a course online to learn a technology like Angular. Now the question for him is, why you are coming to learn a new thing? So that means now the point is, already what he is using, so that might be having some issues for the modern generation of web development. What is the modern generation web development? I will tell you. We will discuss about that. That's the key point here to understand. That means already web is there from several years. Then what are the challenges in modern web development? That means, why suddenly we need to choose new technologies? We need to implement new technologies. What is problem with existing? What happening? Right? We need to know about that. For that, one point is very important, that you can say that more than 90%, that means more than 90%, you can say more than 90% of web users, more than 90% of web users are using web from smart devices like mobile, smart devices like tabs. That means 90% of web users are using web from smart devices. That means they are using from mobile and other options. Yeah, that means 90% of our users are using mobile. You hardly go to a laptop or desktop and open a website Amazon, open a website Book My Show, open a website like IRCTC, right? Open Gmail in your laptop or desktop. Hardly you are doing that. 90% I can say that you are on your mobiles and everything on your mobile phone. That means now what is the challenge for modern web developer is, the first challenge is the user base has changed. They shifted from traditional laptops, desktop browsers to very compact devices like mobiles, tabs, so which have a limited bandwidth. Mobiles and tabs have a limited bandwidth, and compact browsers, that means they don't have all ability browsers. This is the biggest challenge for web developer. That means now majority of users who are using web are not directly using laptop, desktop and large browsers, so compatible browsers. They are using smart devices. Due to that, some new challenges are coming for web developers. What are those challenges? First important challenge is unified user experience. UX is user experience. What is unified user experience? Let's see. That means the first important challenge for a web developer. I am talking about the modern web. That means now the current generation of web development. What are the issues in that? First, we need unified user experience. Unified user experience means, I will tell you what is unified user experience. We will see. For example, suppose we have YouTube. So I think I don't know from how many years you are using smartphones. I think you ever used a smartphone before YouTube app came, before Facebook app came? Have you used smartphones before that? Any of you? You used the smartphones before YouTube app? No. So in the early days, yes, if anybody used an smartphone before YouTube and Facebook like apps came, smartphones they used. Have you heard about a browser called Opera Mini? I think many of you heard Opera Mini. Have you heard about that browser? Opera Mini, right? Yes, right. Yes. Now the point is actually, okay, fine. Now let's see the point. Please, you people don't raise your hands. If you have any doubts, we will get back towards the end of the session. Okay, right. So now the point here is, so you can just ping the message. That's enough, right? Not point. So the point here is, so here the first important thing you need to understand is when we started using so YouTube on a PC or a laptop. So we are using laptop or a PC on that. So we are accessing a browser. So we are using Internet Explorer like browsers, like Chrome like browsers. We are using some browsers and Mozilla. And by using those browsers, we are accessing that. We are accessing YouTube here. Now, it comes to mobile. So on mobile, so we have a browser. So on mobile we have a browser. And the browser is like we have Opera Mini like browser. Opera Mini and Safari like browsers, all these there in the early days. Now what happened is, we are trying to access YouTube. YouTube on this mobile. On this compact browser. We are trying to access that on the mobile, on the compact browser. Now when we are trying to access that YouTube on the browser mobile, then one problem is, mobile is a very low bandwidth device. It is a very low bandwidth device. And you try to access YouTube, then it says that this YouTube is too large. I can't open this site on your mobile. I'm talking about early days of smartphones. So even today, several websites you try to open on your mobile browser, it says that it is not compatible. It says that this page is too large, it cannot open. Even today you have that problem because some traditional applications are still continuing in the same way. Now the point here is, now what YouTube people have done in order to provide service to the people who are working on mobile, they started a optimizing. They started optimizing. Optimizing is nothing but they started compressing this YouTube. They compress this YouTube in order to fit onto mobile. That means they started optimizing. I think you have seen we have m.youtube.com. youtube.com. Am I right? You have seen m.youtube.com. You have m.facebook.com. So facebook.com. These are optimized for mobile actually. Optimized for mobile. Optimized means they are compressed to fit onto that particular device. That means in early days when people started using smartphones, our websites started optimizing. Our applications started optimizing. Now what is problem in optimizing? The problem in optimizing is when it is compressing YouTube to fit onto mobile, then several features are not available for mobile. That means some features that we are able to access on our laptop and desktop browsers, those features are missing when I am accessing on mobile. In early days of smartphones and web, we faced this problem. That means I am trying to open YouTube, it opens. I am watching the video, it works. But problem is, some options are not working on mobile. Now I ask a question to YouTube people, why this option is not working? Then YouTube people will send a message saying that because you are using a smartphone or low bandwidth device, this feature is not available for you. That means they cannot provide all the features in the same way how you use and access on a laptop or PC. Now, in the current generation of web development, we don't want this answer. In the current generation of web development, we don't want this answer. We want our developers to build an application in such a way so that it have a unified experience. Unified user experience. That means it is having a unified user experience. Unified user experience means unified user experience. Unified user experience means nothing but on whatever the device I am watching, it should have same feel, same appearance, same functionality. You cannot have a complaint that because of mobile this facility is not available to you. I want everything to be available to the people who are accessing from mobile. That is what actually the concept called unified user experience. Unified user experience. There are so many terms you will come to know about that, right? See. So I hope everyone understood what is unified user experience. Unified user experience means what is unified user experience? That means unified user experience. Unified user experience is nothing but an application should have same feel and same feel, appearance and functionality across any device. That means important is application should not optimize. Application should not optimize. Optimize means it should not compress. That means mobile users must get access to everything. So this is very important. And this may look simple, but this is not so simple. Many people who don't know properly about the technologies, they will say, sir, in Bootstrap responsive pages we can design, right? So in Bootstrap we have responsive pages, we can design responsive pages, right? So see, I am talking about a complete application architecture and you are talking about just screen. Responsive designs are just about screen. I am talking about entire application functionality. That means how it pulls the data, how it presents the data, how it handles the input, everything matters. You are talking about responsive, means you are just talking about only screen, right? We don't care about that. That is not the biggest point. So by learning Bootstrap, you can achieve unified experience? No, that's not possible. For that, you need your application architecture in such a way that it should support the functionalities also in the same way across every device. Remember, when an application goes on to mobile, it should able to use low RAM. It should able to operate on low RAM. It's not about how you design. It's also about how it functions. Right? If only design, you can talk about responsive, right? That is very important. That's the reason this point may look like very simple, but it is very complicated actually. So now it is a very big challenge for a developer for web is how he can make his application available like this. For that, what he need to do. This is the first important challenge. I hope everyone is clear about this. What is unified experience? Second one is fluid user experience. Fluid user experience. Second one is fluid user experience. What is fluid user experience? Actually, fluid user experience is nothing but fluid user experience means I will tell you. Especially, suppose when I am accessing any website, an application. Suppose I am using Chrome. And here I am accessing Google. In Google search, I am searching for Angular, and you see some results came. Okay, good. Now see, some millions of results are present. Now imagine that I am using this Google search on mobile, and it shown a page like this, and there are some millions of results. I will scroll down. When I scroll down, you can see at the bottom page numbers will come, second page, third page results. Now tell me how a mobile user on his small screen hit these numbers. How he will hit these numbers? He will hit simple links. Then what you have to do? You have to zoom and zoom that area and click on that link, then it will get the second one. This is not good for mobile-based environment. This is not fluid in experience. Fluid in experience, you can see that Google people have designed a fluid experience in image search. Observe image search. When I go to image search, you can see this is fluid experience. Fluid experience means millions of images came, and if I want the images, I need to just scroll down. In fluid experience, observe carefully. When you scroll down, the next set of images will be loading. There will be nothing like next page, previous page. You see your scroll bar continuously growing and it is shrinking, and you can see the next contents will be loading down. And very important, when the new contents are loaded into the page, existing contents are not reloaded again, only the new contents are added to the page. This type of experience is called fluid. You can experience this in your Facebook, like suppose you are using Facebook from several years. 4-5 years back, if you observe Facebook, you will see that on your Facebook, even on mobile or even on this browser, on your desktop or laptop, when you scroll down, it says next post, previous post. It says more posts. It will display that. And if you click on next post will come, previous post will come. But observe Facebook now. Once you scroll down, then it will keep on loading the next post. There is nothing like next page, previous page. Everything comes onto one page. This type of experience is called fluid user experience. You see Google Maps. When I open Google Maps, I keep on zooming the contents. The new contents will be loading. There is nothing like page, previous page. Everything comes into one place. This is called fluid user experience. Now what do you think? This is easy to design like this? No. It requires a lot of architecture in the background. It is not easy to design such things. That means it may look very simple, but it requires so much in the background to design like this. Fluid user experience, that means user will stay on only one page and can get access to everything onto the page. Not only that, another important point is new details are added to page without reloading the complete page. That's great. This is fluid experience. Earlier, to use this fluid experience, we use a lot of Ajax concept, right? You might have heard about that. So anyhow, the second important challenge for a web developer is how he can design a website so that it have a fluid experience. How he can design a web application so that it have a fluid experience. So it have a unified experience. So unified experience, fluid experience. Not only that, loosely coupled and extensible. Loosely coupled and extensible. Loosely coupled and extensible means without disturbing the application, we must able to extend that application. Without disturbing the application, we must able to extend the application. That means application is designed. After designing, we given that application to client. Client is using that application. Suppose you are using Facebook application on your mobile. After few days, Facebook has made some changes into Facebook application. Do you reinstall every time when they make the changes? No, we don't reinstall. So will you stop using Facebook application? No. You will be using your Facebook application. The new details are pushed into your application. That's great. Do you know you are learning Spring Boot and microservices to understand and design such type of applications on? The primary aim of your frameworks like microservices, Spring Boot and whatever you know frameworks you are learning now, they are one of the primary aim of them is to design loosely coupled and extensible architecture. So that means it's not a simple thing. It requires a lot of knowledge to implement such application design. It's not a simple thing. What do you mean by loosely coupled and extensible? Means without disturbing the application. So that means without disturbing the existing application, we must able to push in new components. That means we must able to build the components separately, test the components separately, integrate the components and add the new components into the page. That means we need loosely coupled and extensible architecture. And another important point is we need a simplified deployment and upgrades. Simplified deployment and upgrades means I want application in such a way so that it penetrates into the operating system and starts working. For example, suppose in early days you installed a software. After installing a software, you have to restart the computer. You have to restart the device. Why you have to restart? Because whatever the new software you installed is not, those files are not copied into the registry of operating system. If operating system registry cannot identify those files, it cannot make it work, make it functional. That's the reason when you restart or reboot your system, then what happens? Those files are copied into registry now, then it is ready to use. So that means now the point is you need to reinstall or you need to restart your device. No, application should be in such a way that when I simply install, it is ready to use. When I simply install, it should able to even use my hardware services also. Hardware services like camera, mic, printer, everything. For example, you see on your application process and upgrades, you can observe that there is only one option, install, open. It will simply ask you, allow camera, allow gallery. Just you click OK. It's ready to use them. What do you think? That is easy to design? No, it requires a lot of architecture in the background. That means whatever the points we have discussed here, they are not simple things. These are very complicated things. Right? Upgrades means I told you, without uninstalling the application, the new details must be pushed into that application. These are all the challenges for web development. So current generation web development is not like early days web development. That's the reason your early days type of techniques are not enough here. You need some more better, some more advanced. So now what are the challenges? I hope you understood. Unified experience, fluid experience, loosely coupled and extensible, and simplified deployment and upgrades. Right? These are the challenges. These are the challenges. So, and very important is, now the question is, what is solution? What is the solution? Now immediately the question comes, okay sir, you told all the issues, then what is the solution? Solution is very simple. Better build single page applications, SPA, or progressive web applications. Progressive web applications. Instead of traditional web applications. Traditional web application. Now immediately the question comes, what is this single page application? What is this progressive web application? Are they new? No, they are not new. They are already there from several years. Only the point is they are trending now. SPA, single page application. Do you know Twitter? Twitter is the world's first single page application. That means on the day Twitter came into the appearance market, right? Twitter is a single page application. Only the point is many people don't know that. Now they talk about single page application now, but single page applications are there several years back only. But now they are trending because now we need our all applications like that. If you have you have an experience of using Twitter handle, you can observe, you will have all these type of facilities in Twitter. Twitter is the world's first single page application, you can say. You heard about eBay? eBay is a shopping application. That is the first progressive web application that came on to mobiles. Before Facebook, before Amazon, before all these, it is called as world's first API. Actually, world's first API is eBay. That means the point is these are already there. Only the concept is we are not doing them regularly. We are not using them. Now they are trending because you are not using some new technology, new things. You are just trying to use the existing things with better features. That means now what is the solution? So then avoid traditional web applications and better build single page applications. Now immediately the question comes, then how to build single page applications. How to build single page application and progressive web applications. Progressive applications. Can I use JavaScript jQuery? If I can use JavaScript jQuery, HTML, CSS, then what is problem? Why I need AngularJS? What is difference between JavaScript, jQuery and Angular? How to build single page applications and progressive web applications. This point we are going to discuss in tomorrow's session. Okay, hope you are clear with this concept today. I hope everyone is clear with this. Then tomorrow you will get a clarity what is Angular. Why? Because tomorrow we are going to understand single page application, progressive applications, how to build them, and what are the problems in JavaScript, jQuery, and why we need AngularJS, what is difference between them, you will understand about. That we will discuss in tomorrow's session. Hope you are clear with all the topics today. That's great, right? If you have any doubts, just ping me the doubts.
Okay, ठीक है.